Today we're gonna be ranking the levels of the Ice Gauntlet. It's the same drill as the last time, which was the Fire Gauntlet. And also, please take note that this is my opinion and my opinion only. Skyward is the second level in the Ice Gauntlet, and in my opinion, the worst level in the Ice Gauntlet. First, let's talk about the block design. This level's block design starts off pretty solid, and it actually looks pretty cool. But once you get further into the level, you realize that it's just copy and pasted everywhere. Here are some examples. Copy and pasting isn't necessarily a bad thing to do in levels, but if you do overuse this feature, it may make your level look very repetitive like this one does. The structuring is probably the most basic you could get in any level, and the gameplay is actually pretty fun once you get to the drop. Next is the air deco. Most of the air deco is moving clouds and the occasional arrow. The background is usually just a bunch of slope pillars, or slopes. And the saws may have looked better if they were put on a low opacity mode, or if they use the already available invisible saws. The colors in this level are mainly just the generic colors you would find in any other level of this caliber. Most of the time, these colors come off as kind of ugly because of the way they are used, because they are executed so poorly. And that's about it for this level. Okay, the only reason I put this above Skyward is because some parts are actually decent. The beginning starts off pretty simple, but the colors just look ugly in general. That type of desaturated blue isn't my type of thing. And since the background is black, it doesn't necessarily look as good as it would have if they mixed it with another type of blue. The second part is even more ugly than the first part. The block design is just a blank canvas. The air deco here is non-existent, which makes the only standout thing being the background, which I gotta admit actually looks kind of cool. Although it does use that same ugly blue as the first part. The third part is actually one of the parts that carries the rest of the level. Even though the blocks are insanely simple, it still works because the color is a ton better than it was previously. The background is also pretty cool. Although it is a lot more simple than the last one, it still works because of its better colors, and it overall fits in with the part. This next part is, in my opinion, the best part in this level because of its desaturated blue. Unlike the first part, this part actually executes it correctly. This next part is also pretty good. I really like the black glow used on the block and the red pulses. After a title screen, we get a mediocre part. The block design is just low opacity like normal blocks with some glow, and the background is this cool little effect with some circles. And from here the rest of the level just looks the same. Amplification isn't too much better than the last two levels. It uses a low saturated blue color for most of the level, and copy and paste a lot of block designs. But in my opinion, it's still better than both of the previous levels. The block designs are at least more varied than the two, and are very consistent throughout the whole level. But at least all the block designs are all spread out between different blocks. The air deco is usually just a bunch of clouds or stars, and maybe some pieces of glow. The background is just a bunch of clouds and stars with glow, and it just stays the same color for the whole level, with minor pulses. The only real standout feature about this level is its gameplay, which is pretty fun. But even with all those flaws, it's still a better level than the other two. And that's just about it from this level. The runner-up to first place is Geobound. The level's design looks really cool, although it is inspired by Core. This level is pretty polished and has some really good ideas for some parts. The block designs each are pretty unique, and for once this level actually has air deco. The colors are a bit on the weaker side, but they still work insanely well. And the backgrounds are pretty consistent, changing every other part. My only real complaint is that this level is not very fun. A lot of the parts come off as somewhat annoying, but it is still satisfying to pull off. And the only reason this level isn't first place is because of the drop in quality in the last parts. And that's just about it for this level.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yes, honestly, I think this is the best level in the Ice Gauntlet, even though most of its block design is copy and pasted. The thing that sells this level for me is probably the amazing colors and pulses. The white blocks pulsing to black is insanely satisfying and it looks insanely good. And the usage of glow here is actually really good. Most of the backgrounds are simple, usually consisting slopes. But during the drop, there's this really cool glow pillar that goes through the middle of the screen pulsing. This level also has pretty good air deco. And like the last level, this level also has a quality drop near the end, but it doesn't affect this level as much since this one, my opinion, is much greater, and it's just a bit more excusable. The gameplay is also really good. And that's about it for this level. This video took a lot of effort to make, so please consider subscribing. See ya.